It's your favourite kind of episode. It's my favourite kind of episode. A transfer special here at Rugby Town. Season 9 is on the horizon. What if I told you that the window hasn't even opened yet and we're about to have £21 million in sales go through? Yeah, I've been wheeling and dealing early. Hello, you lovely lot. Welcome back to Park to Prem. Today is episode number 62. If you're enjoying the series, if you're hyped for the start of, well, a new season and indeed potentially a new meltdown here with me in the summer, drop a like on today's video. It's a big one. Now, as already mentioned, if I hit continue here, transfers should happen. It is the 10th of June. The transfer window has swung open and the deals go through in one more continue. Give me a moment. I'll hit continue once and now transfers did happen eventually. First and foremost, let's talk about some transfers in terms of players joining us. Raul Bilardo has joined us from Racing Santander. Like the look of this guy a lot. I think he might be an upgrade on Xenia. Darren Roberts is an Australian international that we have snapped up. He was going to be released by Man City. We've secured his signature. How much did we pay? Nothing. Ichikawa here is a really exciting Japanese prospect. Doesn't have a work permit, that's not so good, but what he does have is some mad mental, some great creativity. Can I apply for a work permit for him? Can we apply for it? I can't. 56 days away, although I can trigger a contract extension. We'll do that. He's probably going to be on loan this year anyway. And the fourth and final of our signings here, Roger Ospina. This man, I think he's our new number 9. I think this is the man who's going to get the goals to put us in the Premier League. That is certainly the weight, the expectations I am resting on his shoulders. But let's be honest, while signings are exciting, sales, perhaps even more so. Xenia. Yeah, I mentioned Bilardo might be a replacement for Xenia. Called foreshadowing, folks, because Xenia's already left the club. We have sold him to Southampton for £10 million and we get 50% of any profit. I like Xenia, but he wasn't ever really performing for us. And if we compare him with Bilardo here, I think you could argue the 19-year-old from Spain is a better player. We signed him for significantly less than £10 million. So yeah, this is a really good deal. Xenia wasn't really a particularly useful first-team player last year, didn't put in the performances required. 10 million for him is bonkers. Of course, we already knew this was happening as of last episode, but Ferreira and Jude Soonsup-Bell have headed across to Oxford. £8 million for the duo, I think, is some really good money. It does make me happy to see that Jude is earning £20,000 a week. He's finally getting his payday. Definitely not a £20,000 a week player, mind you. And last but not least of the sales, Josh Keeley, of course, was on a few £100 a week. He has now gone to Brentford to be their backup goalkeeper in the Premier League. £3 million for him was a good sum of money, especially considering that for the second half of the season just gone, he was not our starting keeper. Now, I have also had a bid here for Toby Hines from Middlesbrough as soon as the transfer window's opened. I would not be surprised if there is plenty of interest in our kind of team. I feel like we've now appeared on the footballing map. We had a really good season in the Championship, and now I feel like suddenly the world of football knows we exist. That does terrify me slightly in terms of trying to protect our best talent, but ultimately we knew this day would come, and the good news is we are in a position where I feel like we can safeguard the majority of players in the club. We don't have to sell most players. There's a couple of exceptions. You know them if you watch last episode, but £32 million in the bank as a Championship club. That's massive. And of course, the player who I'm alluding to, who I'm worried about losing, is Moussa Ndia. This guy, 2 caps for Senegal, fantastic player, fan favourite as well at the age of 18. His contract is up at the end of next year. Can we offer him a contract? No, I did actually try and negotiate a contract a few weeks ago with him off camera. He wanted a £7 million release clause put in there. I didn't want to give him that release clause because, to be honest, I think I can get more for him than that just by selling him this summer without a new deal. I mean, that is one minor contract concern we do have. The other player with a contract expiring that I would love to sort out over the summer, Ricky D out of a fullback, a player who we looked to replace this year with Christian Martinez, who really didn't live up to expectations. And I look at Ricky D, I look at the fact he's interested, I get a little bit scared at that. And also, I think this is just a bug. Apparently, I have a promise that I've got to fulfill before he reconsiders his future, and I've done this a million times during the season. I have not made a promise to this man, so I don't know what the solution is. It might be that we just have to sell him, which would suck but he's probably not good enough for us. So as we head into this summer transfer window, our first team squad sits at 25 players. That is with just 2 goalkeepers. On top of that, a couple of promotions and demotions to talk about. Firstly, I've decided that Gilliand probably isn't first team ready. I think for the next 12 months, we're going to give him a run in the under-21s whilst also making him available for the under-18s. Give him as much match football as possible. If he shines in those games, if he's showing promise, no reason we can't promote him back to the senior team. And on the flip side, another player who I've promoted to the first team who is in the process of signing a new deal with the club is Deal Washbourne. He came from our academy a few years ago. A player who can play centre mid, centre attacking mid, left mid, and well, I tried to play him at left back and train him there. He didn't learn it at all over the course of 6 months, so I've just abandoned that experiment. Of course, players have a hidden attribute in versatility, which impacts how quickly they pick up new positions. 19 years old, as a product of our academy, we'll keep him in the first team, give him some minutes if we can, and if he performs, great. If he doesn't, probably going to look to loan him out this year. Now, heading into this season, I have been looking at maybe ways we can change things tactically, and I think for this year, I am going to change up the midfield and striking setup. Firstly, Oscar and Ospina, I think notably our best 2 strikers, neither of them particularly well suited to the pressing forward role. So with that in mind, I feel like it is time to pivot. At the moment, I'm leaning towards 2 advanced forwards. I just feel like it's the most safe role in Football Manager, but that might be something we experiment with slightly. Neither player a particularly creative player, it has to be said. For both of them, I think their best role is just advanced forward, as unexciting as that is. Behind them, though, I am leaning towards this coming year playing Ngoma as an advanced playmaker. I feel like it just figures into his strengths a little bit better. And because I don't really fancy playing 2 playmakers in our team, I think it's going to lead to some changes at defensive mid. We signed Sanchez this year as a deep line playmaker, and to be fair, he's been a very serviceable deep line playmaker, but he wasn't quite of the standard I was hoping he was going to be in terms of his overall ability, in terms of how much he's been able to improve. And with him now turning 22, I can see that alongside him being inconsistent, he also doesn't like big matches. So the plan of attack in terms of defensive mids, I think, is going to be to play João Victor as the more defensive mid, but just as a defensive mid. That was one hell of a sentence. Having already sold Ferreira this window, there is definitely an open door for that defensive mid position, and that is an area that I think is of utmost importance to try and get a player for. I need to find a new Segundo Volante. The defence is perhaps another area of focus heading into this transfer window. I love NDIA, but the contract's a problem. Gasperi, I think, proved his worth this year. He was one of our star players, to be honest, the 22-year-old. Alongside him, though, Mkize, not so excited by. There is a little bit of transfer interest in him from some clubs that might have some significant money. I do feel like, given his performances really over the last couple of years, a new centre-back to go with Gasperi probably is the order of the day. And, well, I hate to say it, but I still don't like Ricky Dean. With the contract situation and interest in him, I might look to sell him this summer. You know, we've got rid of Jude. Maybe it's time to just, get rid of everyone. Start the new chapter, get rid of Ricky D as well. It's making me emotional to think he might not be here by the end of next episode. Now, I have spent a little bit of time earlier on this month setting up recruitment focuses. As you can see here, we have the Find Next Goalkeeper recruitment focus. Essentially, I'm looking for the goalkeeper of tomorrow. There are some players here that have been thrown up, players like Vitkov here, who, whilst good, I don't think is a big enough upgrade to justify spending money on. There is also Lucas Schumacher, who I do actually quite like the look of, the 23-year-old. He's very good, isn't he? Should we just a little quick comparison? Kinski only joined us in January, but when you look at Lucas Schumacher here, he could be a very good pickup. I like the look of this guy a lot. How much is it going to cost us to sign him? He might not want to join me until we get promoted from the championship. Okay, well, never mind. Yeah, I have just noticed here, I've not got the interested in transfer bit ticked. Suddenly the options are narrowed down. In terms of other recruitment focuses, I am looking to find players basically across the entire back four. We're looking for a left back, right back, centre back. That's what this focus is. First team defensive mid is that other thing that we're looking for. There are some interesting players being thrown up here, although, as I've just discovered, maybe I need to set it to be kind of realistic transfers only. Takumi Sugi here, 20 years old, plays at Jeff United. He's quite good, isn't he? He's very good. I quite like the look of him with his leadership as well. Although I've just discussed how I want to get rid of a deep line playmaker role in the team, let's be honest, he is built to be a deep line playmaker. Not a load of inspiring options there, so we'll leave that for now. And elsewhere, I have just got basically recruitment focuses looking at hot prospects all around the world, covering all different continents. So, for example, the under-21s South America setup here, looking at players in any position, ongoing, and we've got that for pretty much every continent across the board. And alongside all the youth players that we're looking for, we've also just got any first team players search going on. Essentially, find me players who might be good enough for the first team and I can review them. So in spite of the fact we've made a load of sales, I'm not going to rush into any transfer business yet. I do feel like getting to that season tick-over date is somewhat important for us. The 23rd of June is the date to have in your diary. That is 2 weeks away. I will have a little look around for players, but until our rep bumps up at the end of the year, not going to feel pressure to do anything just yet. Now, I'll be honest, didn't think I was going to find a right back as early as I might have found one. Andres Zambrano here, Ecuador international right back. I know he's got an ambitious personality, but his current ability is really, really good. He's super consistent and he's available for £2.4 million and he's already on low wages. I feel like the obvious thing to do at this point is just to compare him to Ricky D. And when you look at it like that, he's not a huge upgrade on Ricky D right now, but he is also 3 years younger. And I mean, when you kind of look at it further, maybe he is a massive upgrade. Although we have been here before with Martinez, haven't we? I feel like I also need to compare with Martinez here just to kind of further reinforce the comparison. I feel like Martinez should have done so much better this year, but defensively, Zambrano's very good. This is one of those deals where I might pull out of it if kind of I decide that I want to keep Ricky D or I can't get rid of Ricky D or Martinez, but I just feel like for £2.4 million, I want to get the ball rolling on it. He is the hot prospect of Barcelona Sporting Club in Ecuador. Does the Ecuadorian national team have any other players that I should be aware of? No, not really. I mean, don't get me wrong, they've got some good players here, but they're not going to want to join me from the likes of Celtic and Real Betis. I suppose it's promising that we've got this list of scouting recommendations, and already we are seeing some pretty bloody good players showing up on this list. One thing that I don't feel like we've really mentioned enough is just how good our recruitment team is. We have one of the best scouting setups in the whole of the championship. In fact, you can see here, in terms of judging player potential, we are the best. The bar down here represents the average. We are very, very good at recruitment. Okay, well, I was really, really hyped about Zambrano. Doesn't want to join me. Never mind. I've told the scouts not just to look at players that are interested in joining us right now, simply because I expect our reputation to climb over time. But it might be a safer bet when I'm looking at players to just look on the player search screen and then set the interest to doubtful when looking at players. Yeah, will potentially save me some heartbreak. Big news, by the way, Darren Roberts has just appeared for the Australian national team. The player playing in our under-21s, making a splash. We have had to pay Man City some money for that appearance. We paid them £0. I don't get it either. I am currently looking for a loan out for Aaron King. There are a couple of players like King who last year were maybe training with the first team and kind of in my list of first team players that frankly just haven't quite got enough about them, and I want to loan them out. Obviously, a lot of transfer windows around the world are closed till July, but yeah, just so you know where Aaron is, for any Kiwis wondering, he is in a very stacked under-21s, and he's one of those players who I wouldn't mind loaning out. Sean Nesbitt was out on loan at Ross County. I think, was it Ross County he was on loan at? Yeah, it was Ross County he was on loan at this year just gone. They want to have him on loan again. To be fair, he developed quite nicely with them, so happy to loan him out. And you might notice a new signing here on the inbox items. Yeah, I've signed a sports scientist, everyone. I can do science, me. There's a lot of teams listed as interested in Mkize. I offered him out for £10 million and didn't get any nibbles. I wonder how much I might be able to get for him. I'm going to offer him out for an unspecified amount. I'm hoping he won't kick up too much of a stink here. I like Mkize, but to be honest, he has not cut the mustard in the last 2 years, and I feel like an upgrade at centre-back alongside Gasperi, it's almost necessary. No offers for Andreni at the moment, although apparently there are some teams that will be interested in making a bid. I'm just going to ask his agent to drum up some interest. Apparently, he can't do that. I think I saw there that a team might be willing to bid £275,000. Ultimately, with Andreni, it's just about getting any kind of money we can for him. He he's just not good enough anymore, is he? He was good in League 2. He was below average in League 1. He's useless in the Championship. Now, I have just offered a new contract to Addons. Of course, he is a very good centre-back, but he's on an ESC deal, and he's almost certainly not going to qualify for a proper full contract after the year of the ESC kind of deal being in place, because he's not been playing for us, to be frank. But I've decided to renew his contract. I think it's worth around £3,000 a week. We find out tomorrow if he's given a work permit. If he does get granted that, that frees up another ESC slot. Also, I'm getting offers for João Victor here. Am I crazy thinking he is massively undervalued at 650 to 2.2 million pounds? Like, that is just, it's not enough, is it? He's on a long-term deal, by the way. He's contracted for the next 3 years, and we've got an optional contract extension of another 3 years. Absolutely no reason to sell him. Although maybe the reason to sell him is there's some big teams that want him. Sadly, they're not bidding anywhere near his value, so I'm going to reject them, and if he cries, he cries. I'm just going to ignore him. Okay, well, Addons is the first player who's on an ESC deal who I've given a new contract to, who's then not been granted the work permit. I can appeal it, so I guess we'll just appeal it and see if he gets it. I don't think he's going to get it. So we may still have him using up an ESC slot, which is kind of less than ideal. Right now, we've got 3 players currently on ESC contracts. There is one spot to bring in a player who would not ordinarily be eligible for a work permit. So it's not of the utmost importance, but it would be nice to have, the flexibility to maybe bring in another. Derby County make Ricky D offer. My client is expecting the offer for Derby County to be rejected as promised. Oh, Ricky, is that the promise that I made that I've not been able to track? Did I promise I wasn't going to sell him? I mean, it's not even that good of an offer. He's valued at 4.5 to 5.4 million. They did not offer a great deal. I'm going to ask for 8 million. 8 million and he's yours. Never mind. Another offer for João Victor here, nowhere near his valuation, at least as far as my valuation of him, so we're rejecting that. There was a player here who at one point I was looking at during the pre-season prior to this episode. He was going to be released by Chelsea. He was on loan at QPR this year, Okocha. Sadly, he's going to Luton. And when I say sadly, I don't mean for us that we've not got him. I mean, he's going to Luton. Poor bloke. I realise in saying that I've never actually been to Luton, besides to the airport, which I don't necessarily think is a reflection of a town or place. Every time I hit continue, there are new bids coming in. We've had a bid here for Oscar. The bid is absolutely atrocious. It has to be said. £325,000 they're willing to pay for Oscar. No, he was one of our top goal scorers in the Championship with 18 goals. Leeds United do one. And elsewhere, Nottingham Forest trying to sign Hines. They're offering me £3.8 million. £3.8 million for an English under-19 international who's this good. I love this guy. I feel like he still could be a very good player. We snapped him up for a bargain price of $550k. He got 11 assists and 6 goals this year. 17 goal contributions in 34 games. I feel like that's fairly respectable. I don't need the money. I don't need to sell him. I would like to keep a little bit more domestic representation. We are a little light on kind of British players and Irish players in our ranks with only 4 English players in the first team. He, of course, Toby Hines is one of them. Don't want to let him go. Toby Hines is frustrated not to be able to pursue a move. They weren't offering enough money, mate. It's as simple as that. I want at least 7 million to consider selling him. He wants 5.75, 6.5 million. 6 mil is the highest he's willing to accept. It's not up to you to decide how I conduct my transfer business. Toby, you are getting too big for your boots. I feel like he could be potentially worth way more than 6 million. If we were a Premier League club, I feel like his value is doubled. Of course, club reputation does feed into player valuations. Am I overrating this guy? I just feel like for an English striking talent, it's not enough. Okay, Salford have made a bid for Andreni. It's not as much as I was hoping for. Also, they want it spread out over 3 years. How about that? 110k. It's not a great amount of money, but is it profit? It's profit. We signed him for nothing. 3 players called up for the Gold Cup. I'm going to be honest, it's not often I have a load of CONCACAF players in my team. Of course, Sanchez and Oscar, part of the first team. Luis Mosquera On loan at Perth Glory in Australia. Has had an okay season in the A-League. Not sure what the plan is with this guy. Don't think he's quite good enough for the first team, but, well, I'm hoping his valuation goes up so we can sell him on for some more money. Wolverhampton Wanderers have made a bid for João Victor. They've offered £725,000 for this bloke. He's 20 years old. He is a very, very good player. He only turned 20 a few days ago. I'm rejecting this. No way, Jose. Arsenal make Faye offer. They're offering me absolute peanuts. £775,000 for this guy. I feel like our club reputation really does mess up some of the valuations of some of our players. Some of our players have crazy values. Some are criminally underrated. And these bids that we're getting right now are unacceptable. I sold Zenhia for, what was it, £10 million, and these are the bids I'm getting for players who started ahead of him. I'm fuming. Does it make any sense that Ngoma, who's the only player on a part-time deal, is valued at £25 to £27 million? I mean, don't get me wrong, he's not a bad player, but I don't feel like he's worth that much. Okay, Nesbitt is officially going on loan to Ross County. As for Urban here, I've noticed that I can actually complete the renewal without allocating him an ESC slot. If I hit complete renewal here, does that just free up the spot? Because to be honest, he's not going to qualify for a proper ESC contract, so it's probably in my interest to complete this and then just look to loan him out. He's not really going to play in our first team, I don't think. So I'm going to complete this, and I assume an ESC slot is now just freed up. Does it say he doesn't have a work permit now? No, okay, he just keeps the ESC thing. Never mind. Okay, well, we only have one slot still. Either way, it's a really good 5-year deal to get him onto. Locks him down for the foreseeable future. I still feel like he's actually quite a good squad player for us. He's definitely our 4th choice centre-back as things stand. Actually, I say he's our 4th choice. He's probably not. We've got Gasperi, who is definitely our best centre-back. Then we have Mkize, who I'd say is number 2. Mamadou Dia, the Senegalese kind of all-rounder, he's the next option for us. And then I'd say the next option is Victor Coyote here, who you could say is unfortunate not to have got more minutes in this year just gone. Signed for £500,000 just to be that squad player. And then behind him, I think there comes Arben. Yeah, he is 5th choice. It's probably not the best use of an ESC slot, but it's where we're at. What it does make me think is, if I am going to sign a replacement for Mkize, probably should look to move on one of our centre-backs. I wonder if anyone wants to loan Arben for the year. You know, then I don't have to get rid of Mkize as well, because it's not like we need the money from Mkize, and I wouldn't mind him just as a squad player option. West Brom make bid for Mkize. He wants to go. Just as I'm talking about keeping him around, this is a monster bid, by the way. Potential value, £9.25 million for him. I'm going to be cheeky. I'm going to ask for it all up front. I'd like £10 million for him, and I want 40% of any profit. They've just accepted that. I feel like I should have asked for more money, but I hate to say it, I think I've just got to take it. I love Mkize. He's been a vital part of the team since his arrival in League 2, where we signed him, and he was a really big coup ready to pick up, but not good enough for the last 2 years. Certainly not putting in £10 million performances. Okay, we are approaching the end of season tick-over date. Apparently we enjoy a small reputation boost. I was hoping it'd be a bit bigger than that. Sponsorship-wise, you can see here, our annual earnings from sponsorship, 1.2 million. The average in the league was 7 million. Yeah, we need to get some better sponsors. We are like the Williams Racing of the Championship. Another offer for Hines here. We're valued at 5.5 million. Nottingham Forest, you are a Premier League club. You can pay more than that. And Rangers are bidding for João Victor here. With Victor, I want to just set an unreasonably high asking price, but he'll be really upset if I do that, even though I think he probably is worth more than 10 million. So I guess the valuation is just going to stay as it is, and we'll just reject everything manually. I mean, he's already unhappy about all the rejections. What's he going to do? Get more unhappy? Don't care about him. Championship signings of the season. All I'm going to say is the top 3, all my signings. NDIA, the pick of the bunch, 13 assists, 6 goals. His contract is up at the end of the year. Oscar signed on a free transfer. He was right up there. And Sanchez as well. I do feel like we took some risky transfers, but ultimately, when you look at the returns we got from them, they're all kind of worth it. Okay, we've just had the leaderboard show up. It's a big, exciting day, everyone. What is our media prediction going to be for the coming year? The board want a mid-table finish. I'm okay with that. The board want to discuss expanding the wage budget for a director of football. We don't need that. I think the club would be better off investing the money in a different area. Can I have a new contract? Can you imagine the cheek of that? I like the board to consider pushing the club's academy to the next attainable level. They appreciate my input. They do not care. They're just going away with the other idea. No, Brian, what are you doing? Bizarrely, when the takeover failed earlier on this year, I was a bit upset. Now I'm beginning to wonder, should I be happy that Brian's still here? I've just noticed, and I don't want to get anyone alarmed, but Saudi Arabia might be interested in Murphy and Goma. Yeah, Saudi Arabia might be knocking, boys. Or girls, or pet dogs or cats that watch the videos too. If there's a cat watching me down here, hello, mate. We're very inclusive here at Work the Space Enterprises. Brentford have made a bid for Hines. It's still just crap, so we're going to reject it. And Angers have made another bid for João Victor. Leave me alone. Fixtures for the year have been announced. We are going to open up the season with a home game against Birmingham. We then take on Oxford and then Lincoln City, who have been promoted from League One. Third game of the year. Also, some nice news here. There were some contracts that are lined up with players to lock them in for the long term. William Espinosa has just signed a 4-year deal with us, but it has an optional 3-year extension. Have had to tell him he'll be a squad player. That might be a white lie. Isaac Warren, our exceptional goalkeeper prospect, similar contract for him. 4-year deal just kicked in with an optional 3-year extension. He is a player who I might look to loan out this summer if there is a good option for him. And last but not least, perhaps the most important deal to get done, Sam Fay has signed a new contract, £1,400 a week. It's a 3-year deal, but crucially, it does have an optional contract extension of 3 years. Of course, you cannot have a contract last more than 5 years in Football Manager. Ordinarily, except with contract extension by promotions. But that's the exception, not the rule. As a result of that, I can't trigger the extension until he's got only 2 years left, if that makes sense. I don't know why Football Manager works that way. I should be able to trigger it now. But yeah, I desperately want to avoid an NDIA situation with any of our homegrown kind of academy prospects, hence the fact I'm giving them all these really long deals. I realise I've just been mashing continue brainlessly. We should really acknowledge the fact that our new media prediction is 10th place. We are in the new season. It's all very exciting. Everything is reset. Season preview has us in 11th. NDIA is in the Media Dream 11. He's the only one of our players in it. So yeah, drink that in. How much longer he's going to be here is a completely different question. I do have the option to enter contract negotiations. He wants to talk to me about a contract. He actually wants to chat. I probably should have chatted to his agent first, but we'll talk to him here. He wants the training facilities improved. He wants a new centre attack in mid. He's a good Premier League player. He's 18 years old. I need him to stay. Why is he locking in a minimum release clause of £7.5 million? He wants £24,000 a week. I can't pay him that. I can't. What is the highest wages I can offer? 20,000. He wants a match highest earner clause. That's a horrific contract, isn't it? Like, there is nothing to like there. I hate to say it. I think I've got to explore selling him. I don't want another Ferrarinson situation. He's an amazing player. He's probably one of the best players to come for our academy. Full stop. I'd love to sign him back at some point, like Guerrero, but I can't afford to lose him for nothing. He's very interested in talking to other clubs. I'm just going to offer him out for 30 million to start with. You know, start high, dream big. Yeah, he's going to have to go, which, I mean, it sucks, but there is not really an alternative. Right, I need a right back, I need a centre back, I need a left back. I essentially need an all-new defence. Beginning to think here, just sending one scout out to look at all the positions, probably not the best idea. Let's have a look. We're looking for a left back. 3.5-star ability minimum. I don't want an age really above 26. I want someone who can grow with the team. Ongoing focus. What scouts are free right now? That is the next question here. Ollie O'Connell, yeah, enjoy your little tour. Where do we want to look for players? We have extensive knowledge of England, so we should look there. Fantastic advice. We'll look across the UK, I think. Yeah, UK and Ireland. I think that's where we're going to look. We've got a more kind of wider search going on for kind of all defenders. And I am going to do another very similar search this time for a right back. We really need a right back too. Our reputation has updated during the off-season, and I have to be honest, there is a list of new players here. Ryuji Oyama, another Japanese player. Do we just go crazy? I was going to say signing Japanese players. He's got great mentals and great physicals. He is a bit like the Japanese Ricky D, isn't he? He's actually a very similar mould of player when it comes to the kind of polygon. In fact, you could argue he's probably a better player. Look at his creativity. Sadly, he's really injury prone and he's inconsistent. They're two things I really don't want in this replacement. Okay, right backs that we've got scouted that actually want to join us. Tyra here is the pick of the bunch. He is more of a centre mid, isn't he, than a wing back? Could he play wing back? I mean, he kind of could. I just look at the polygon. It doesn't look like a wing back to me. I do not like the positioning. or his acceleration. He's not going to get up and down the pitch quickly. All the right backs that we've currently got scouted, I don't love, to be honest. Is the left back position any better? Do we have left backs? At first glance, I don't think we do. Going to do a slightly different search here. Natural at left back, wage at most 5k. Just going to sort by world reputation and hope that maybe there's someone good here that we can go out and scout. I'll tell you what, when I saw 2 Bolivian left backs, I got all excited. Neither of them are good enough. I realise I'm looking at left backs here. I don't even know if NDIA is leaving us yet. I feel like I have to work on the assumption he is, but well, we've not had any bids yet. I'm just wondering, given the fact we've been promoted, are there just like new faces here? Are there some good new players? Armenian strikers, that makes me excited. I mean, he looks good going forward. He's quite like Madder, though, isn't he? Definitely one of those strikers who's just like good at shooting and can kind of run. Yeah, we've already got Madder to do that job. I was hoping there'd be this big list of exciting players with kind of 3.5-star ability. The reality is, none of the options here are particularly exciting. I mean, Jack Minnell here is not a bad little player, but I look at the injury proneness, I look at the important matches, I look at the fact he's on £24,000 a week. He'd be a great centre-back, but I dread to think how much he's going to want. The answer to that question is £21,000 to £28,000, and he wants release clauses. A non-promotion release clause to add. Yeah, that ain't happening. As much as I really want to back myself and say, yeah, we're going to get promoted this year, yeah, having non-promotion release clauses, not a gamble I'm willing to take. I really did think that when we got through the season tickover date, suddenly players would be throwing themselves at me. I'm now having a look through some of the players we've got scouted. I mean, there's some okay centre-backs here. We're getting rid of Nkise. I need to bring someone in, but I'm looking for that player who is going to be a significant jump up. And instead, I'm being recommended players from Bradford City in League 2, which isn't really what I was hoping I was going to see when I sorted players by ability. I mean, this guy is a Georgian centre-back, but I think I've looked at him before. The polygon feels familiar. He's just not a centre-back, is he? Could he be a Segundo Volante? I mean, we are looking for one of those. The answer is a resounding no. He is a weird player. Probably more of a wing-back, to be honest. NDIA wants to ask about his current asking price. Yeah, it is £30 million. I'll admit it, it's quite a lot. I'm prepared to talk about it. Can we name a fair price? He thinks 10 million. Mate, this ain't going to work, is it? This is going to be an ugly breakup. I can already tell. I'll propose 30 million again. He's going to hate it. I'm just going to tell him I'm not prepared to negotiate further. I'm really tempted just to offer him out for an unspecified amount and just see what anyone offers. We're losing him at the end of this coming year. I need to make sure we get some money. The offers we've been getting for João Victor are slowly creeping up, but still £2 million, way below what I think we should be considering for him. There's all these really exciting players that my scouts have found and are bigging up, but none of these are actually interested in joining me. I thought for a second we'd found a centre-back option, but this man has free jumping reach. Don't know why he can play centre-back a little bit. I guess Libero's unpopular in Colombia in 2031. I've had to retire standing up for this episode. It's got too much for me. But João Victor, he said he's now happy to stay. He no longer wants to leave the club because Leeds don't want him anymore. It's a shame there's a load of different Premier League teams that now want him. Speaking of which, Fulham have made a bid, 2.2 million, reject. QPR have declared interest in Ngoma, yet 27.5 million and you can have him. West Brom have made a bid of £4.3 million for Ricky D. He wants to leave the club. His preferred destination would be West Brom. Do you want a new contract? He doesn't want a new contract. I think I've just got to sell him, you know. They've offered what could be worth 5.5 million. I'm going to ask for 7.5 and I want a 40% profit. They have counter-negotiated. That's a positive, I guess. I feel sad knowing I might be about to sell Ricky D. £7 million is a really good fee. I didn't mean to rap there either. £7 million of Ricky D. I think it has to be done, doesn't it? He's just not a £7 million player. I don't think he's good enough to get us to the Premier League. And as much as I want to sit here and say, well, he'd be good for depth, I've already got Christian Martinez, who you could argue is a depth option at right back based on last year. He's a really good depth option as well. In an emergency, he could start the season at right back, but yeah, I'm about to lose a lot of players this summer that I don't really want to lose, but it's just Needs must. If you told me that I was going to sell Soonsup Bell, Mkize, and Ricky D all in the same window, I would have laughed at you. And yeah, here we are. Tell you what, Maxim Dahl here is a very good player. Contracted to Leipzig, but his contract expires tomorrow. He's just shown up in the player list of players who would be decent signings. He's really, really good. I know he doesn't have any attributes above a 16, so there's no yellow attributes that make him seem exceptional. He's great. Comparing with Gasperi, he's much better defensively. Not as good as Mkize with the ball at his feet, but a solid option at 25. I realise I'm bigging him all up like this. I don't even know how much he's going to ask for. 7.5 to £10,000 a week. Does want a minimum release clause, though. He wants to be a star player. He has also asked for the club to be treated as a stepping stone. I'm not going to give him that. Let's hope his demands here are reasonable. He's asked for £29,000 a week. I literally talked to his agent 10 minutes ago and he told me £7,000. Why are we here? If someone wants to explain what's just happened there, I'd love the explanation. It is about to be the 1st of July, so there are going to be some more players like the guy we just looked at whose contracts are expiring. So if we can get to this next day, maybe there's some players we've scouted who had contracts expiring who are suddenly free agents and are therefore willing to join us. So we have had a few players leave on free transfers at the end of their contracts. Players like Paul Clark, a youngster we picked up so many years ago now, just never broke into the first team. Good youth team option. Johnson was a product of our academy, a player who has mad potential, but his current ability and his development has basically been non-existent. And elsewhere, Ndongo, a player who I might have wanted to keep around, but he didn't want to sign a new deal, has had some issues with injuries during his time at the club, so wasn't super keen to keep him. Shame to lose these guys. Wish we could get some money for them, but they're off the wages at least. I'm getting a load of loan offers here for McCulloch. I don't really want to loan out McCulloch here. I want to sell him. I'm probably going to get absolutely naff all for the 22-year-old. He really hasn't improved in the last few years, sadly. But yeah, I just need him off the wages. Peterborough have made an offer to loan Aaron King for the year. That is a pretty good move for him, I think. The New Zealand international, solid player, needs some regular first-team football. To be a star kind of key player in a Peterborough United team looking for promotion, I think could be a really good move for him. So my theory was that at the start of the kind of month, with players being free agents, there might be some new players available. Contract status expired. There's lots of players here suddenly. Amad Jupp here, released by Aston Villa. He looks very, very good as a defensive mid option. We're looking for that Segundo Volante on support. Has some gaps. He looks very, very good, doesn't he, at 22 years old. Last year was on loan at Reading and played regularly in the Championship. I'll ask his agent, how much is he going to want? £10,000 to £13,000. What's a minimum release clause of 22 million? I'm very tempted to make an offer. Wants to be an important player. Can I knock that down? I can't. I'm still going to see what he wants. £11,000. I feel like this year, £10,000 is kind of my soft limit. Wants this minimum release clause to teams in a higher division. I don't love it, but 22 million for a player we're signing for free, it wouldn't be a bad thing, would it? Let's try this, see if he's interested. Really wants 12,000. I'll give you the 10,000 and a bigger signing on bonus. Come on, join us, Armour. He really wants 12k. I think I've just got to give him it. Well, it's not like we're up against the wage budget. We can definitely afford to spend a little bit more. I like the look of this guy a lot. Stephen Thomas has just been released by West Ham. He is a Trinidad and Tobago international. Does have some issues of injuries. He's got a little bit of Ngoma energy about him. He kind of looks like a similar mould of centre attacking mid. I mean, when you look at him compared to Ngoma here, I think you can argue I was going to say he's an upgrade. Maybe Ngoma's mentals just give him the edge, but there's not a world of difference. They are the exact same age as well. If I was to lose Ngoma, I'd be tempted to go in for Stefan here. How much might he want? What are your wage demands? 8 to 10k. Wants to be in the playoffs. Do I offer out Ngoma to see if he gets any bids? Do I want to lose Ngoma right now? We're potentially about to lose Ricky D and Mkize for £17 million. We are losing some fairly influential players in the dressing room. I think I need to keep Ngoma, unless someone does actually bid 27 million. I'm not going to actively look to ship him out. Darley, we were looking at before, is now a free agent. Does he want to talk to me? Never mind. Contract status is expired. International caps at least 1. Age at most, let's go with 25. Are there some players that perhaps I didn't scout here that are worth taking a look at? there might be. Or they might be like Jean Kofi here and just be crap. Arwin Davies here is a very, very good option. He is 21 years old, Welsh international. Am I mad thinking he could be a centre-back option? I feel like we might have found our Nkise replacement here. He's got caps for the Welsh national team. Last year was playing only in League One, but if we just compare with Nkise, I'm not necessarily looking for a massive upgrade on Nkise, but certainly someone who can offer us something. Davis looks good. Has the added bonus as well of the fact he can play defensive mid, so if we wanted to maybe get a bit versatile with him, that is definitely a possibility. Wants to be a wide defensive kind of centre-back. We don't play a free at the back, so that's not going to happen, but he would be a regular starter for us. Wants £8,500 in wages, also wants a release clause to teams in a higher division. I'm going to have to do some negotiating here, but I am willing to go up to that £10,000 I previously mentioned. Do wonder if I'm going to regret only signing him to a 3-year deal, but I didn't want to push my luck and go for anything too much bigger. I really like the look of him for that price. We will get a scout report on Davis here. You can see I was looking at UK and Irish players with at least one international cap. Contract status expired. I wonder if there's any that are just like interested in joining us beyond the scope of free agents. Looks like there might be. Of all the players here, Kevin Reid is available. He is a West Ham right back. His valuation's on the higher side, and I don't love loans. Then again, I was going to say, is it time to spend £11 million? It might be, but I don't think this is the guy to spend £11 million on. If I did want to loan him, they want me to pay £15,000 a week. It's a little bit steep. Okay, Nkise has been granted a work permit for his move to West Brom. It's £10 million. I am going to delay this just for now. I noticed that with Davis, Bournemouth are also in for him. There's a list of teams who also want him. I'm going to offer him a little bit more money, I think. I'll go up to the £12,000 that we've already offered another player. And elsewhere, because we're getting him on a free transfer, I'm going to offer him a massive signing-on fee and a big agent fee. I feel like given the fact he's a free transfer, we can afford to throw a load of extra fees and stuff at him to hopefully secure his signature. At 21 years old, he would be such a great pickup for us. I just fear he's going to go to Bournemouth, given the fact they were in the Premier League last year. So I noticed that when I was looking at home nation players who had international caps and were free agents, there wasn't any English players coming up. I've just looked at players with at least one youth appearance for England who are free agents. Daniel Pitchfork here, he looks really, really good. Ipswich Town have already made a bid for him. He got 13 goals in the Championship in the season just gone. I don't really need another striker, and yet I'm tempted. He wants to treat the club as a stepping stone. I can't give him that, but I can say he'll be an important player next year. He wants £12,000. He wants a minimum release clause I'm going to try and remove and exclude. If we get promoted to the Premier League, mate, you can go on to £18,000 a week. That is A-okay with me. I am going to leave in the sell-on percentage. Don't love the fact that's in his contract, but I feel like it's a necessary evil if we want to try and secure the signatures of players like this guy. Wasn't necessarily looking for a striker. If I am able to pick up Daniel here, and the scout report gives me enough to get excited by, we might look to move on one of our strikers. Either that, or I might just loan out Espinoza for the coming year. I feel like we've identified 3 players here who would be amazing pickups, and yet I'm uncertain we're going to get any of them because they've all got some interest. We've been here before, we've been hurt before. I just have to hope that we have some newfound pulling power as an established championship team. There is a whole list of players that have been released from their contracts at Premier League clubs. Tammy Abraham would be a sick pickup if we could sign him. Has no interest in joining us though. Canuzin here looks like a really, really good option, but there is absolutely no chance he's going to want to join me, is there? No, we do not have the financial muscle to get near his demands. I'm reevaluating Raul Bilardo here. Am I crazy thinking he could be a deep line playmaker on support? Like 19 years old, at the moment he's just chilling in the youth team, but I'm just sat thinking about the whole defensive mid thing. I definitely like the idea of João Victor being a defensive rock. I feel like last year playing with the deep line playmaker and this guy as the Segundo Volante didn't really get the most out of him, and I do feel like just switching up the roles when it comes to the defensive midfielders is probably going to help us out defensively, especially with the wing-backs getting forward like they do in our system. Obviously, if Davis joins us, we're in a good spot. If Jupp joins us, suddenly the need for Bilardo to play defensive mid goes down. It's worth considering. I feel like there's people who watched last year's Park to Premier are getting flashbacks to when we trained Jaime, the advanced playmaker, to play as Regista. Look, Bilardo can at least already play defensive mid. It's not that crazy. Good news, everyone. The 500 seats have been installed in the stadium. Apparently, the objective of expanding the stadium has been realised and the vision for the future is taking shape. We've added 500 seats. That feels a little over the top. We've got £35 million in the ban balance. I have sold way more players than I've really acknowledged. Of course, we've also got the money from sales like Guerrero still trickling in various clauses. Part of me wants to go out there and sign some mad players, but because of kind of the wage restrictions we're under, you can see here the valuation of the most valuable players I can sign isn't actually all that high. And then the most valuable player, Dan Neal here, he's not that good. He's on £56,000 a week. This guy's on £56,000. Charlie Ward here is transfer listed by Fulham. He's actually, I was going to say a good right-back option. Maybe a weird right-back option is a better way of phrasing it. He is inconsistent, I don't love, but the boy can run. When you look at him versus Ricky D, he's definitely an upgrade in everything but the defensive department. Then you realise he is also going to cost you £7.4 million. Charlie Ward's good, he's not that good. This guy's really good. Ishi Samuel Smith, transfer listed by Norwich. Really like the look of him. Shame his wages right now, £27,000 a week. And he wants wages between £41,000 and £58,000. I don't like it. The thing is, I probably could afford those kind of wages if I just wanted to go balls to the wall, but actually, I'd rather go for a nice, slow, sustainable approach here in the Championship. Whilst I want to make the playoffs for the coming year, I wouldn't view it as a disaster if we don't get promoted. I feel like this is a tough league to get out of at the best of times. I'm trying to be financially responsible and not just sign the best players and completely nuke the finances and basically gamble everything on promotion in 1 year. Especially with all the young players that we've got, I don't really feel like there's any harm to having some of these players develop in the Championship for a year or two, get to that Premier League level, and then hopefully when we do get promoted, fingers crossed in the next 2 or 3 years, suddenly loads of these players that we've grown attached to can actually contribute in the Premier League without me feeling like I need to completely rebuild the team right away. Exeter, Lincoln City, Queen's Park Rangers have made bids for Davis. That's not good. And Jupp offers from Portsmouth. Even though they're in League One, they are a threat to us signing him. Also, apparently Colke is wanted by Sheffield United. They're going to have to bid more than £3.4 million if they want him. I can't believe I'm doing this. Davis, I'm now willing to give £13,500 to. That is my absolute limit. I feel like at this point I can sit here and if I don't sign him, I can at least think to myself, I couldn't have done anything more. I'm tempted to do the same with Jupp, you know. I know that right now we're only battling against a League One team. I'm just worried. £13,500. That is my new limit, everyone. More teams are making bids for Davis. No one like that. Nottingham Forest have made an offer for Oscar. Wait, Oscar has a release clause. Oscar had a release. I didn't know this. Did I give him a release clause without realising it when I renewed his contract? No wonder his valuation's been so low. He now wants £15,000. This is bad. Do we just let Oscar go? This new deal has a minimum release clause of £4 million. Oh, Oscar, I was going to call him an idiot. I'm the idiot. Why did he... Does anyone else have release clauses I don't know about? He is the only player with a minimum release clause. Ladies and gentlemen, always read the small print. I'm just about to lose one of my starting strikers for peanuts. Meanwhile, Toby Hines is still just getting bids on him that are just nowhere near good enough. I mean, we're about to lose Oscar. If there's a position to lose a player in, I suppose striker is one of those areas where I guess it could be worse. We've got Ospina, who is going to be the main man this year. But I'm losing him for 900k. I renewed his contract during last season to get rid of his ESC contract by trying to get him the work permit, which worked. I just never realised he had a release clause. Balls. Well, at least we have a title for today's video sorted. I didn't know he had a release clause. ... Brilliant. Arwin Davis has now had a bid from Swansea for him. Pitchford, the striker, who incidentally suddenly now looks like a more important player to sign, although with these pros and cons, hates important matches, inconsistent. I don't want him anymore. Withdraw that offer. We might still need a striker, though. I'll tell you what, if I don't get Davis or Jupp, what a disastrous episode today. Why do I feel like this is shaping up like last season? The start of the season is 4 weeks away. I should organise a few more friendlies looking at things. Now Derby County want to trigger Oscar's release clause. I am fuming. Another bid for João Victor. He's not for sale. And Andreni's work permit's been rejected, but Salford are going to sign him anyway. Bye, Andreni. Thank you for the memories, but it's time to go. Stephen Thomas, the centre attacking mid I was looking at previously, has now had a few bids on him. Charlton have made an offer. What kind of wage demands does he have? 15,000 plus. It's just a little out of our budget. I don't think I've ever had a Park to Prem series where I've regressed in a season, at least outside of being in the Premier League. I'm a little concerned as we quickly approach the start of the new season. It's 4 weeks away. This coming year, it might be a step back to take a bigger step forward down the line. I've not even really thought about the whole NDIA situation. Can we lower his wage demands? We want to renew it. We really do want to renew it. It's in our interest to renew talks. He doesn't want to consider a renewal of his contract right now. It's just not good, is it? I really want to end today's episode. I feel like it's already on the longer side, and yet it's just bad thing after bad thing. I can't believe we're about to lose Oscar for 900k. I'm actually so upset about it. I mean, if there's a winner to the whole situation, William Espinoza, at least right now, probably makes the bench if Oscar's not around. And I think it would be Madder, who comes into the team to play alongside Ospina as our striking duo for the year. More people are making offers for Davis. There's no way I'm getting Davis, is there? There's just no way. If I don't sign Davis, do I just cancel the Mkize transfer? I've already delayed it. I might have found a right back, everyone. Keita Miyazawa, Japanese, centre-back, but right back? Question mark. I feel like he's of a similar mould to Ricky D. He's like a slightly better Ricky D. He's got lots of potential, professional personality, super consistent, does have a competitive streak which I don't love, but in terms of players that we've scouted, he is up there as one of the best. If Ricky D leaves at, £7 million and I can pick up this guy for like 2.4, that would cheer me up. I might be about to be cheered up. He wants to be a star player. He wants to play centre-back. Can't give him that promise. We will improve the midfield. I hate doing the promises to do with strengthening the team because I feel like you promise the player it and half the time, even if you do strengthen it, the player doesn't view it that way. Let's get rid of that for now. We'll make the playoff in 2020. 33, 34. Oh, that's years. Yeah, we can do that. It's years away. That can happen. He wants £11,000. I'm going to try to get him down to 10. Top division promotional wage rise 40%. Remove the sell-on fee. Contract extension after promotion. Are you keen on that? He didn't like it. Hopefully, he will just sign for £10,000. I feel like Miyazawa here could be a really good addition to the team. If we could sign him from Raysol, I'd like that signing a lot. He plays in the national team. There's actually another guy who's in the national team here who's a left... Ladies and gentlemen, have we got a left back here? Is he a left back? Mercenary personality. Has a release clause of 3.4 million. I wish he was a bit quicker. Sagabe here plays for Vissel Kobe. He's very, very good, isn't he? He's a fun striker. I'm going to assume he has no interest in joining me. Yeah, he doesn't want to join. One of our scouts is currently looking at players in Asia and across Oceania. It's very clear here, he's done a little trip round Japan. Look at all these players that he thinks might be good. How many of them actually want to join me? The answer's some of them. Agawa is not bad at 20 years old. 20 determination, I love. Few question marks about other aspects of his game. Doesn't really fit our system. Thomas here is actually really highly rated by our scouts. Sadly, not the most adaptable of players, although he can already speak English. He's Australian, so maybe he'd adapt fine. He's available for £1.4 million. He's not really good enough for the first team, but I do love the jumping reach. And I do feel like for that price, if his potential is as good as my scouts think it is, he could actually be a good little player. Apparently, he's already a decent championship option. When you do compare him alongside Gasperi, he's a little way off the first team pace. He's not the first team centre-back I'm looking for, is he? I really just want to know, are any of the players I've been trying to sign going to sign for us? And yet, every time I hit continue, it feels like players I've been looking at, people are making bids for. By the way, I've got this guy added to my shortlist. He doesn't want to join me. To be fair, he's just signed for Man City for £1 million. Man City got this guy for £1 million. He was on my shortlist. He never was available for us to sign. He never wanted to join us. Imagine if I could have signed him. It's all very good having all this money that we have. Players still don't want to join me. Derby have now hit Oscar's release clause. Yeah, he's leaving the club, isn't he? It's a battle of all the Midlands clubs. They all want him. Fulham have made another bid for Hines. It's not good enough. And Ipswich Town have made a bid for Davis whilst There's another bid for João Victor. João Victor is not for sale. Leave him alone. Ricky D has snubbed West Brom. You know what? I kind of love that. Does he now want to sign a new contract with us? No. I say I love it now. When I lose him for free in January, I'm not going to love it anymore. Also, Aaron King has just signed for Peterborough. So the New Zealand Kiwi international, hopefully going to get some regular minutes. Reading have made a Jupp offer. I don't think any of the deals for players I've wanted to sign are actually going to happen today. Although, West Brom have just made a bid for Zagnon, who I was looking to sell. I didn't think we'd actually get any bids on him. I just have to let this guy go, don't I? If we can get like £2 million and 50% of profit, they can absolutely have him. They're willing to give me it, but they want to do it with some installments. How about that? £2.2 million of Zagnon. I'm hoping, unlike Ricky D, this guy does actually want to go to the Hawthorns, because I don't want him here. £2 million is mental. Okay, Pitchford, who was the striker who I thought I wanted, then we scouted him and I decided I didn't want him anymore. He's gone to Middlesbrough, and Kize still got this transfer with West Brom. Am I just about to accept this? I feel like I can't delay it again. Isn't Kize worth 10 million? I feel like I know the answer to that, and you know the answer to that. I'm going to hit accept. I feel like if you've never done a save game like this with a lower league team you climb up, you're probably sat there screaming at your team going, sign players! I really wish it was that simple. It genuinely is so hard at this level, but we're wheeling, we're dealing. Like I said, I'm coming around to the idea that maybe we just stick with the young players that we've got, give them game time in the Championship and let them develop. I mean, we surprised ourselves this coming year with 1 or 2 right additions, and Ospina maybe hitting the ground running. I still want to believe that playoffs is possible. Our media prediction for the start of the season was 10th. Why not dream that 10th is doable? Ricky D has had a bid for him by Bristol City. He wants it rejected as promised. You know what? I'm held to the promise I gave Ricky D. I'll reject that. Motherwell have made an offer for Arbon, but given the fact I've just sold him Kize, I don't want to loan him out necessarily right now, especially as a squad player. I'm going to reject that. I do promise you this is a transfer special. I am trying to get some deals done. I just need the players that actually want to join me. I realise I've signed Miyazawa here, or I'm in the process of signing Miyazawa here, and Ricky D is still at the club. So I could sign this guy and have 3 right-backs. Although, to be fair, he can play defensive mid. He could play centre-back in an emergency. I don't want this guy at centre-back, do I? Not with 12 jumping, reach, and 8 heading. As a defensive mid, though, I mean, he could definitely do a job. I have just offered out Ricky D. I've been told he might not react well, but he's in the last year of his contract and I can't renew it. I feel like I've just got to let him go, really. Jupp and Davis are 2 of the best players we've found all of pre-season. In terms of scout reports, they are right up there as 2 of the best. I am desperate to sign these 2 guys. If we sign them, playoffs is on the menu. If they don't join us, which I think is most likely, I'm probably going to curl up in a fetal position ahead of tomorrow's episode. Jermaine McCulloch is leaving us. We have made £9,000 off him. It's not as much as I was ever hoping for. It's a sad day, a product of our academy, but he's never going to make it with us. I guess, as they say, every little helps. I'm so upset. He's agreed to go to Bournemouth. Davis has gone to Bournemouth for £8,000. I offered him £13,000 and he still turned me down. To the people who tell me in the comments, just sign players, this is why it can't happen. I'm so upset. If Jupp turns me down as well, I'm going to be fuming. The season starts in 3 weeks. A bad day gets worse. Oscar's gone to Nottingham Forest for 900k. I mean, technically, we've made 900k off a player we signed on a free transfer. He was one of our best players last year. 8 player of the matches in 39 games, and he's just been Thanos snapped to the East Midlands. Oh, such an idiot. How did I not know he had a release clause? I think I'm done for the day. Jupp's gone to bloody Reading for £9,000. I offered him £13,000 and he's decided to go for £4,000 less a week to Reading. At least we've sold Zagnon for 2.2 million, you know, swings and roundabouts. And now Arbon's out for 7 to 10 weeks. Brilliant. Our depleted centre-back situation gets more depleted. So just to recap things today, Soonsup Bell left the building, Ferreira left the building, Keeley, Xenia left the building. Then this season, all these players left the building as well. The most notable, Mkize for 10 million, Oscar, top goal scorer, 900k for him. Signings in. There's no transfers to display. I mean, let's be frank. I have all this money and I can't do anything with it because of the reputation. Players like Jupp are a great example. You know, Reading were with us in League One. We were promoted with them. We both have a year in the Championship to establish ourselves. And in spite of the fact that we have a media prediction of 10th, they have a media prediction, if we look here, of 13th. and I'm willing to pay Jupp, for example, basically an extra 50% on what Reading are willing to pay him, in the end, he'd still rather go to Reading than play for us. And it feels very crap and a bit harsh. Today's been an awful episode. I can't pretend otherwise. Transfers just haven't gone our way. This is one of those situations where I wish I could clap twice, go back in time and just re-record the whole episode. I mean, I could do that, but we don't do things that way in this place. We play Football Manager, roll with the punches, and deal with losing our top goal scorer for less than £1 million. The Oscar situation's the thing that annoys me the most, and that's on me. I admit it. The season starts in 3 weeks. Tomorrow we have to make some additions. The one and only player who I currently might sign is a right back that I don't really need. We'll end the episode here. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to go cry.